few years to my early times with you all and talking about the risks of public construction that Pennsylvania is particularly susceptible to in the way that things are set up with multiple prime contracts. I'll leave your single prime here, which was a great help to the project. As a borough and low bidding and the contractors we could get to, the risks of change orders were a lot of things that we had talked about way back when and how we would help you manage those risks. As we close the book on the project, I can report a few things that are almost all good. I think the last time I was here, what we talked about is contingency and how much to hold, and recognizing that the dirt, the ground out there was really, we thought, no risk in the project, and we thought the other risks, which were a multitude, could be managed and would be managed, and it was our job to help you manage those to the best of our abilities, along with really yeoman's work from Mark and his team, who proved to be more helpful than we expected, and more helpful than many municipal teams that we work with, where they either don't have the skill to be that helpful, or they don't have the time, or maybe they don't have the willingness. And I think here you're blessed with all three. So you had a great group of people who was fully engaged in making that project do well, who were skilled, who supported us when we had to push back from time to time on things the contractors wanted to be change orders, and we would deny them, and sometimes owners fearfully will waffle, or they'll feel bad. They'll say, well, don't be nice guys. And, you know, we wanted to be fair, and we were always fair, but we didn't want to be too nice, and so they were very helpful backing us up when we needed to take a stand, which happened maybe once or twice, right? Maybe. So at any rate, so the good news is, so we did have risk in the soil, okay, we mentioned that. And to the extent that there's good news, bad news, that was the risk. The contractors proposed to bill additional costs approaching $500,000 due to the soil conditions. By the time we were completed with the project, we had that cut about in half at about $300,000, and so we saved just under $300,000 in battling the details of how many trucks left the site, how full were they, what could they have done on the site that they should have done, and just chose to do some other things. So we do have that, that cost was incurred and paid for the dirt. When you set aside, well, actually even including the dirt, you're at about 4% in total cost of change orders. So that's really not, that would be not bad in its own right. If you set aside the dirt, we're at 1.7% in total change orders. If you set aside of those change orders, what were really enhancements to the project, things that, well, now that we're here, we'd like to have a lift, or we'd like to have the shelving installed for the public works and things like that. If you take aside true enhancements for all the other risk of the building, everything except the dirt, we're actually negative $7,800. So we're negative, what is that, 1/10% in total change orders. So, so I think that's about as good as we could have done, absent having really good dirt to work with, in which case, it would be, I think, a victory lap for everybody. But I think if you're looking at how projects could go, and maybe some neighboring projects not too far away in other municipalities and how they've gone, I think you've done as well as I've ever heard, and as well as we had hoped, and as I think as well as you could have done. So that's my short story.
Okay.
All right.
That's great.
Questions?
Any questions? Councilor Kirk, being our resident architect.
No,
what do you think of those results?
No, I'm just highly impressed with the number for change order number. That's phenomenal.
Good.
I've managed projects, state projects where it was way above that. So that's very impressive.
Good to hear.
Sounds like you did a good job.
Also, it took a lot of people, other people in my office, other people in the room, and other people on your staff to make that happen. But we were thrilled to be a part of it.
As far as the dirt, is that a normal, I don't know how familiar you are with this area, but is that a normal problem in Pennsylvania or in this area with having issues with
No, I mean, there are lots of places that have very, you can have rock that's a problem, you can have just bad natural soils can be a problem, or marginal natural soils, or you can have bad fill be a problem. So, and it was one of those deals where the site was, I think, free to the municipality, however you acquired it, but there had been a lot of fill, unsuitable, mucky type of material that had been filled on that site for over decades and decades and decades. And so it was really, that type of material is unsuitable to build on. And think if you know how that lays out there now. You have that big service yard ringed by buildings, and the main entrance side, everything along the street and around the bend was really bad, and we had to improve the soil for the footings for the actual building. And then out in the middle, actually, where the service yard is the area where the most fill was applied, and it hold too much water and would never dry. And if you build over top of that, eventually, your current the original public works site, you saw how eventually it became like that. It would have become like that, but for the ability to export a certain amount of that and then import suitable fill and then compact it properly.
So originally that was a site that they put fill in
Yeah.
of some sort.
Yeah, it was clean fill. I mean, it wasn't environmentally bad or anything. It was just, but for building purposes, it was a lot of clay and just
Well,
really
I know
mushy.
this area is known for its clay, so.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know.
So somebody else, they had extra clay somewhere else and they threw it on your site. So
Probably Robinson clay.
I have no idea. But,
So even though you had some savings in some places and a limited amount of change orders, at the end, the total number still went over the projected budget amount?
yes.
By,
Yes, but well below the contingency that you had held for that. So, I mean, if you take your budget plus your contingency, it did not go over, but it was higher than the actual contract amount. And that number is, I have that here. You never have the page you want to have. 313,000 total, and that was really almost 100% soils.
almost 100%, sorry.
It was almost 100% soils.
Thank you.
270,000 of that was soils. And then the other 55,000 were enhancements to the project, and then there was a net savings in that, built into that number of the 7,700 of other things that really went right. So, really went very right. And I think facilities, pretty outstanding. It should serve you well for
I just have one question, between the fill and the compacting issues with the soil, is there any impact on runoff?
No, actually, if you ever want to entertain yourself, you have pervious asphalt over a large part of that service yard, but the area over by the salt shed is regular asphalt because we didn't want to infiltrate salt residue into the ground for, I think, pretty obvious reasons. But if you stand and you can watch, if there's a rain event, and you can watch how the water pools and runs off the regular asphalt, and large amounts of rain go right through that, and so you have great drainage, and so part of why we had to remove those bad soils was to create the space to create the drainage as well. Does that make sense?
So what was the total overall cost for the project when all is said and done?
$4,387,743.72. And you have all this. I mean, this is not information you don't already have. All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you all. If you ever need any help again, look our way.
We'll
And
do this again in 4 years.
Excellent, excellent. Well, thanks so much.